Hello and welcome everybody to this Spooktober-tacular. I messed that pun right up right away. For Fall Anime 2024, I'm here with Yuki. Today we'll be going through
Fall 2024.
what to watch. Yes, I just also realized I messed up on my chart on episode. I put our tier ranking at our one episode, so oh
Oops.
my god. So yes, Yuki, would you like to talk through why I fixed this really quick?
Yes. So, as always, we will be covering only the new shows this season. So that means we will not be covering anything that is like a entry in an ongoing series or a sequel or anything of that nature. We will cover some like total remake slash reboots. But things like, the latest installment of Gundam are generally not going to be covered. Um,
Technically, Dragon Ball would be the point of this season. Why we get most asked about.
yeah, that would certainly be a cutoff for us, since it's an ongoing installment in a well-known franchise, even though it technically has a new name slapped on it. Um,
Yep, but
so
this
we will be covering Ranma One Half, but we will not be covering Dragon Ball. We also won't be covering any movies or any like short form webisodes or like 4 episode miniseries or anything of that nature.
yep.
We will be making a tier list, but just for everyone's information, the tier list this time around at the start of the season is more focused on how much of the series you would need to watch to get a good feel for the series. But we will talk about our impressions of each series as well as we go.
Yep, as well as catching the trailer to give everyone a distinct feel. But for going over our little tier list, so everyone's not completely confused by by quick edits there. um, we have a 1 episode show. This is not a sign of quality. This is how many episodes you would need to watch to get a feel for this. So the 1, 2, and 3 episode rules are all listed here. These are for 1 episodes are what you see on the box is what you see, what you get, what you see on the cover is what you get in the box. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. Man, I'm tongue tied all over the place tonight. Basically, it looks like what it is, and you get a pretty good feel up from episode 1. Episode 1 sometimes also just build characters, so you and set up premise, so you don't really get a good feel for it. This is why we have the 2 episode show. At this point, this is where the show gets into its groove, maybe a little extra twist, a little more setup, but by this point you would have a feel for it. And 3 episodes, which generally are shows that have bigger build-ups or twists in them, I should say. Few and far between, but dear God, there are just some shows that oh dear God, there's the hook. There's the hook.
Or it looks like a totally different type of show until you get to episode 3, and then all of a sudden, it's not a slice of life anymore. It's an isekai or something like that.
Which I can't think of an example off the top of my head like that, but it's like I feel like that's happened once or twice.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yep.
It's very helpful for those fake out shows.
Yeah. Underneath those, we do have the two that do stand out: the must watch and skip. Must watch are shows that generally come with a pedigree of either a writer, a director, source material that is outstanding, or just a studio known for putting out outrageously good series. Skip is generally one we do hold in reserve, and this has to be something absolutely, undeniably, positively atrocious from the get-go, which I don't think I've I would have to go. A little piece of me wants to go back and check, but I don't think we have yet to use the skip
I think we may have used it at least once or twice, but it's certainly been few and far between.
Yeah.
I think we may have neglected to put a did not watch tier this time.
Oh yeah, we did kind of keep that in there. Honestly, I don't. I think between us we might have this covered this season.
Well, maybe.
Well,
All right. Well, if we run into one that sorry, I am still a tiny bit sick.
quit being sick, Yuki.
I'm trying so hard. Yeah, if we do run into one of those, we'll kind of figure it out as we go, I guess.
Yeah.
In any event, also noteworthy, we are both in Halloween costumes because it is still spooky month.
Spoopy.
And I think both of us actually have had recent model updates, so our audiences may notice that. And I apologize in advance. I did just relocate my desk today, and I'm currently running off of Wi-Fi. So if we do run into any latency-related stuff, my bad. I'm sorry.
Well, don't jinx us too early. But I've had this model for I think I will actually be hitting the anniversary of this fairly soon.
Oh wow.
Yep. Nope. The update wasn't too serious. Just a lot of small tweaks and refinements.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you'd updated anything when you went into the Halloween costume mode or not.
Nope. This was purely outfits. But okay, Yuki, what do we have for our first trailer?
All right, up first, we're starting off extremely strong with Dan.
Oh, hold on a second. I had to. All right, ready to go.
もし幽霊がいるってなったらあんたはうちのパシリにするからね。見せてやりましょう UFO や UAP。おいお前 UFO 見たことねえだろ。綾瀬さんこそ幽霊見たことあるんですか？ないよ。恐縮っす。何あれ、ほんとやめてほしい。一もちゃうらせろや。バナナをください。助けてください。自分をコントロールできます。お金とく。なえるぜ。
Banana.
A side note, you will notice that we tend to go silent during the preview videos. That is because of the way that the copyright strikes work and the fact that we usually end up having to cut those before we can utilize the VODs later, unfortunately.
I cut since I'm live on YouTube, so I actually cut the VODs as it's after it airs, like through the app on that one. It's irritating.
Yeah, because you can only cut like one segment at a time, and then you have to like
Let it reset. Yep.
process everything. Yeah, it's a real pain. I've taken to actually just cutting them all out before I upload the video. But yeah. Anyway, Dan. Honestly, like this one really brings up old school Gynax vibes for me.
I know you didn't say that. After you said that, I could not kind of see it. This is this anime has an old school edge to it.
Yeah, it's not quite as crazy and over the top as like the old Gynax stuff was, but it definitely has that kind of feel to it. It definitely has that kind of like crazy strong animation quality, and really interesting characters with great chemistry. This one is in my book, definitely a very strong Anime of the Year contender. And if there's anything this season that probably goes in the must-watch category, I imagine it's got to be this one.
Oh yeah, it's a little piece of me was debating it because I don't know the pedigree behind this. I've been hearing great things, and oh my, the very premise. Hey, let's have aliens and spirit natural things fight, or stuff overlap or interact. It's like I'm sorry. I remember there was an anime a couple seasons back that just infuriated me with a similar concept as that, and I've been wanting it because it's so cool. Like, oh right, spiritual stuff in alien like that could. Oh, why is that not more of that? That just sounds so crazy good, and this writer is knocked out of the park. There are so many cool and crazy scenes. It's hot granny.
Yeah. Turbo Granny, yeah.
Oh no, well remember that's her grandmother.
No, you're talking about the other grandma. Oh yeah.
Side note, I believe Turbo Granny is a real urban legend from Japan too.
Oh, I think it is, yeah. It seems like they're actually drawing on a lot of like well-known lore.
Which Japan, yeah, go do fun stuff like that. You're goddamn vocal, like you have some weird stuff over there. Like also we got is like Mothman.
Oh yeah, it seems like every street corner has its own like legend in Japan. That said, in terms of pedigree, Science Saru is the production company behind this, and they are pretty well known at this point. I should say they have more of like an underground following. They have very high quality stuff, but it's not usually pushed into the public eye because they don't usually do like straight up shonen battle series. Whereas this time, we can see on the info screen that was at the end of the trailer here that this was in fact serialized in Shonen Jump Plus. So this is technically straight up a shonen series, even if it's not one of the typical battle-oriented ones.
I had a feeling it was. This feels like classic shonen, but I think I can agree with you. Like everything about this has hooked me from the get go. I could feel us just from everything I've seen is a must watch. This is that kind of middle of the road shonen like appeal. So if you've liked Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball kind of shows, not necessarily those themselves or One Piece, yeah, you will like this.
I will throw out there, though, as a content warning, it does deal with some sexual themes and has some fan service, as we saw in the trailer. So if you're really, really put off by that kind of thing, then that would be the only case I can really think of where you might want to give this one a pass.
Hot granny.
Yeah. And also just it's so much like innuendo and like
innuendo.
I don't have a better term for it.
Because
I mean, but like banana is not technically a direct reference. It's technically an innuendo.
Okay, yeah, that one I will give you, but like everything. Okay, the aliens have a sense of decency. Okay, we're gonna be on that one too long. Okay, let us.
Yeah.
Can't say enough good things about it. Watch it, people.
Moving along. Next up, we have Blue Box.
Well, this is the
まだ冷たい空気の漂う体育館で
this is
ひたすらシュートの練習をする。
I can kind of see it.
そんな千夏先輩のことが俺は好きだ。俺もこの夏インターハイ行こうって。そのくらいじゃないと先輩と釣り合わないなって。
少しでもボールに触っていたいんだよね。 あのジョバスの先輩となんかあったな。
あいつ目標決めたら一直線だからな。
それでお前カノチナツのこと好きなの？
ハリュー先輩が強いのは知ってたけど、やっぱ悔しい。
頑張ってきたのは確かなんだから。
自分のことを分かってくれる人がいるって嬉しいな。
大輝くんなら大丈夫だよ。
Okay then. Were you able to watch any of this one, Yuki?
I was not able to catch any of this one so far. I had originally thought it was just kind of a sports anime, so I did not think this was going to be one of the ones that I'd be covering. But after I found out it was, in fact, a romance anime skinned as a sports anime, I had wanted to check this one out, but just didn't get a chance yet.
Yep. Okay, I did watch the first 2 episodes on this one. Yeah, this is very much a high school romance, like front and center, not like a comedy. This is a, trying to be serious, but set at a school that specializes in sports tracks, as in, basketball, badminton, everything else you saw in there, gymnastics, I think. As far as it goes, it didn't seem to be too badly animated. The story was not nothing that hooked me personally, but very box standard, but done well. I don't want to say anything. There was nothing bad, but there was nothing that stood out. This was a very blandish show, with the exception of the fact that it's set in a sports high school, and I'm not seeing the picture for this one.
Well, we definitely had it on there, but the picture for it was kind of weird. Maybe it didn't make it onto the tier list, even though it was on our list of thumbnails.
Okay, let me yeah, looks like there are a couple that are missing in here.
Uh-oh.
Well, let me. It's might be. Oh, I think I had to reload. So let's try to.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
A couple more populated. That looks like the one down there at the very bottom.
Yep, it was one of the.
Yeah.
It's not happy with me. All right. If you want to watch this one, I would say one episode is where to go again.
Well, it looked like you moved it on accident. Just below your cursor there. There you go.
There we go.
Oh, it ended up in 3 episode.
Yep, it's being a little glitchy. Did not like the fact that I had to add more to it. So extra scuffy scuff. Yay.
Huzzah!
But
Alright, next up we have You Are Miss Servant.
Sure, but I can understand why.
Yeah, the 5-second synopsis on this is a assassin has shown up at this kid's doorstep to be his maid. Okay, the animation on this is really quite nice for what it is, but substance-wise, go watch Maharomatic. It's this show is basically ripping off that plot and is not as good as that show. Nonetheless, it's still an okay watch.
Honestly, the whole time I was watching this, all I could think of is the like mercenary maids from Black Lagoon.
Yeah, it's definitely been riffed on a number of times, but I want to say that Maharomatic was the first to do it, and that is an older Gainax anime that was very well done and very touching.
Yeah.
I do recommend it.
But-
That said, you probably have a solid idea of where this one's going in episode 1.
It does not go anywhere else. It's this is everyone this it's exactly what it says at the cover.
Yeah,
saw that
they'll
trailer?
throw you some new characters at you as you go on, but that's about it.
Yeah. Oh god, the animation on the dog is not good. It feels like.
All right, next up, Loner Life in Another World.
俺は今異世界を一人ぼっちで攻略している。仲間がいた方がいいのは分かってる。でも誰にも口出しされない気ままな生活。何者にも代えがたい。女子たちを探し出して襲うぞ。
よーし覚悟しとけよ。
やっほー、ぼっちくん。まさか本当に異世界？
みんなを助けに来てくれたんだよね。
そんなこと言った覚えは一度も。嘘だしてる持ってね。殺さないでくれ。全てを仕組んでたのかもしれない。凶悪なチートスキル、まさかはるかくん。ぼっちにだって守るものはあんだよ。一人ぼっちの異世界攻略、2024年10月放送開始。
All right. This is pretty much your bog standard isekai trash show. It's you pretty much know what you're getting in the first episode. Animation's exactly what you would expect for this kind of series, which is to say, nothing notable about it, but not overtly painful. The one thing I will give them credit for that a lot of other shows have been doing lately is that they did not lean on having all of the monsters be horrible CGI garbage.
Yeah, they're kind of weirdly cute still, but very tame.
Yeah. They did give some nice touches though, like the kobold that like bends over and spanks its butt at them.
Yeah. One thing I will say that I was thinking about it, and this does stand a little different.
I don't.
It sounds like a cat attack over there.
No, that was Hoots doing a heart attack at me.
Oh, I don't see emotes like that. Hi, Hoots. This is also it feels like it's turning into a pseudo-economic anime.
Yeah, maybe.
Similar a little bit similar to the Log Horizon style, but more base isekai built. I'm seeing the framework for it. We're not seeing a lot of it at the start, and it didn't advertise that, but it is there, and I think that's what has me liking it a little bit more than normal, or the actual lack of like trashy isekai. It's like, my plate don't overflow with anymore.
Yeah, I think it has more to do with that. That and it's like marginally above what our typical isekai trash has been lately, because so much of our isekai trash recently has been like way below the bar even for isekai trash.
Oh, we hit rock bottom for a second there, and hopefully we're bouncing back up, people.
Yeah.
That being said, I could almost see 2 episodes to get a better feel for it, since at least half episode 1 was him just complaining about skills.
That is true. But at the same time, I think by the time you get through the back half of episode 1, you've pretty much got a feel for the series.
Yeah. All right, episode 1 sounds good. I will also like to say he is not a neat incel who's out for revenge, too.
This is true. He is not by any means edgelordy, except in the most like
I wanna be-
self-deprecating, comical of ways.
It's fun. He's like not even there. It's like, no, just I want to be left alone and read my books. I like my peaceful time, guys. Like, I'll socialize when I want. It feels like an actual introvert.
Yeah, and also the overpowered skills in this one are clearly like a complete accident.
Hey, I will. If you've played D&D long enough, if you see basic villager or traveler set anything, look into that.
I won't say entirely not cringe hoots because there's definitely some cringe moments because this very quickly develops into like a harem plot.
Oh, am I not? Am I not getting the chat isn't working?
But it's
bugged
not
out.
it's not the edgelordy type of cringe. The chat's not working?
It closed out.
Oh, it did the same thing as last time then. You haven't been invited to the stream together session.
There we go.
Nope. I haven't received a new invite.
All right, hold on.
There we go.
There we go. We had to have some scuff at some point.
All right.
Share,
With
yes.
that in mind, on to the next one. Next up, we have 365 days to the wedding.
私と結婚しませんか。
結婚するふりから始
ラブストーリー。
別にぼーっとしてない。どうやって返事しようか考えてたんだよ。
また怯えさせたかな。きっと彼に怖い人って思われてるだろうな。結婚願望なし。
一人生活好きが恋をした。
恋愛ヘタレ社会人。
ポンコツ男女二人の
ムズキュンストーリー。私たちが結婚すればアラスカ行きはなしになります。
結婚するって本当ですか。2024年テレビアニメ化決定。
Okay. Well, did you watch any of this one, Agent?
Yeah, I have to say this has to be my favorite setup for a get married. Oh shit, you want to live in Alaska? No, neither do I. You want to get married to stop that? Yeah. Okay. It's only two people that socially awkward to come up with a plan like that.
Yeah, if the idea of two heavily autism-coded introverts fumbling their way through a fake relationship that is clearly on the path to become a real relationship interests you, then definitely give this one a watch. Otherwise, you probably won't be interested in this one at all.
Yep. I would say episode one, right? It's exactly what it is on the cover there.
Yeah, and don't expect any major plot twists in this one. However, I will note that episode 2 was pretty interesting. And I don't want to give spoilers now because we're at the start of the season, but I will definitely want to be talking about that in our end of season wrap up.
Yeah.
There was definitely a solid, intriguing plot twist in episode 2, even though it really doesn't affect the main plot of the show at all.
Yeah, no, definitely looking in on that one later on. It looks like it's going down this same path, but we will see if there are any weird turns. Because, man, it's weird we have so many box standard at the start of this because we really do got some weird ones to get to here in a little bit.
That said, any romance anime that manages to capture agents' attention is definitely worth a glance.
There are 2 this season.
Okay. Next up, let this grieving soul retire.
トレジャーハンターになろうぜ。目指すはただ一つ、世界最強の英雄だ。この6人ならきっとなれる。な、クライ。
それが全ての始まりであり、お前やれよリーダー。
は
終わりだった。それから数年、
あんたが
ストグリのリーダー。
マスターの凄さが分かったらひざまずくべき。
ティノ、黙ろうね。僕は圧倒的に凡人だった。さすがに治療は宝具なのか。何もかもが宝具ですけど、それが何か。
演技うますぎ。
はっていうか、帝都最強なんて誰が言い出したんだよ。そうだ、依頼は誰かにやらせればいい。
スパルタは大概にしてください。
うんうん、そうだね。レベル3なのに。
クライさん、私の力が必要だと思い帰ってきました。
時が来た。
お任せください、マスターメイナス。おそらくこのままでは調査隊は全滅することになります。
すべてはマスターの計算。どうにもならない依頼を適当に振ったりはしない。
完全に適当に振っちゃった。僕の命は17個あるんだよ。嘆きの亡霊は引退したい。2024年10月放送。
Alright, I'm gonna warn up front that that preview did make this show look a lot more visually impressive than it actually is on average.
Oh yeah, this show is not that good. Okay, it's not bad looking. It's just that trailer made it look like it has more money behind it than it does.
Yeah, like it's definitely actually a marginal cut above par for this kind of like fantasy trash series. But it's definitely not nearly as cool as that trailer made it look.
Yeah.
Pretty much every cool looking moment was stuffed into that trailer from the first like 2 or 3 episodes easily. Incidentally, I fixed my text to speech while that video was playing. And I wanted to throw out there too. This series kind of reverses the formula that we saw last season, where the person was like super overpowered, but didn't realize it themselves. And instead, for this show, the protagonist is not strong, and they're the only one who realizes and believes that.
Well, there might be a little bit more going on to that too. It's
Probably, yeah.
okay, because the best comparison I like that the best thing that stuck out to me the most in this show is if you've watched Overlord and you know Ainzul Golan's where are you all getting these master plans from? I told you to go look at this. What do you mean we're at war? What? Yes, all along. Yes, plans within plans. What are they talking about? This is somebody who is in charge of people who are probably better than they are, but they have that. I don't know. Do you want to call it like a good leadership skill of like they're a great manager?
In a sense, they're spectacular at delegating, but a lot of times it's purely accidental, and it only really works out because everyone has this amazing belief that their plans are so much deeper than they actually are.
Yes, it is.
I feel like this is someone that is like a high charisma, high luck build.
The D&D references continue on.
Yeah. That said, there is some hints that the main character is more powerful than they're kind of letting on, and maybe they're just kind of a little bit of a coward. Um, because they definitely do have the ability to activate the artifacts of other people in ways that even the owners aren't capable of. So that their special skill seems to be in unlocking the true potential of like any magical item that they come across.
I think it might actually be that he knows what he knew what the sword was just by looking at it and could turn it on. I think he is an artifact nerd and he just kind of knows so many. He's learned so much about them that he can just flip them on as he pleases.
Pretty much, yeah, but that seems to be a talent in and of itself.
Yeah. All right. I will definitely say this is. If this had anything bigger behind it, I would say that's higher. But I know this is also kind of just in hitting my funny bone right where I like it. This is
yeah,
it's right what it is what it is on its cover. But this is one I'm highly recommending. Like I'll put you at the top of an episode. Yeah, I could. What is with this blue box one? I don't know what the.
I mean, one episode's not really a rank, so. But
Yes.
I know what you're going for there. It's a show that can be definitely a lot of fun, even though it's an isekai trash, or not technically isekai, but a fantasy trash show. If fantasy trash is your thing, definitely give this one a try. It's a fun ride.
Yay. All right.
All right. Next up is Yakuza Fiance.
この子になら俺の人生めちゃくちゃにされたいです。
ちょっとおじいちゃん、何よこれ。
ヤクザ界に走る大激震。
翻訳も秒読みではないからことすらないんやぞ。結婚なんかせえへんからほっといてくれ。
とにかく一回東京行って確かめてこい。
結局来てしまった。
どうもはじめまして、三山霧島です。ありがとう。じゃあまた帰りにね。どうしたの、吉野？
よかった、普通のいい人で。ヤクザみたい。
はあ、もうダメだ、めんどくさい。吉野の取り柄ってその顔と体だろ？それ売って金にしてくれない？俺、女に嫌われてる女が好きなんだよね。思った以上に吉野が普通すぎてちょっと飽きちゃったんだよね。大阪帰る？死ぬほど自分に惚れさせたれ。そんで1年経ったら捨てて帰ってこい。俺はそんなもんのために命張られへん。
お前らのことメイドの道連れにして人生めちゃくちゃにしてるからな。
Yeah. This one it definitely falls more into like the mature adult kind of category of shows.
Yeah, this is as darkly themed as you could possibly imagine. If you've watched The Sopranos, almost.
Yeah, it definitely has both violence and sexual content in spades. There's a scene that opens up with him very clearly performing oral sex on a girl. Like, we see him definitely beat people to death, stab people in the eye, like all kinds of stuff. But this is very bizarre because like the minor spoilers here, like episode 1 spoilers, but the two main protagonists of this show are a female who doesn't want to be in this situation but is forced into it by her family, and a male lead who desires the most toxic possible relationship.
Yeah, he's I'm fairly certain he is supposed to be a sociopath too.
Probably, but like in either case, he definitely has like a strong kink for being in a toxic, abusive relationship and is willing to live that out at the expense of those around him. Um, so, if any of that kind of content makes you uncomfortable, give this show a wide berth. On the other hand, if that interests you, then definitely give this a shot because that's what it is, and it's certainly not bog standard by any means.
The one thing I will add to this is what, like Yuki stated, romance shows are not my thing. I'm enjoying this one thoroughly. This is I am intrigued episode to episode, just from its dark tones, everything it can do on that one. If you wanted your dark mafia driven high school romance. It's quite a collective group of tags. Know what you're getting in for on this one. Although I will say, episode two episodes is the must on this one, just because of the twists that happen at the end of one.
Yeah, that's where I was going to put this one as well. Like episode 2 definitely has a twist at the beginning of it, even that like it is pretty key to understanding these characters.
Yeah, it's very well done. The artistic style is what is that?
Seinen, I think would be the best.
Yeah, it's dark seinen kind of a bit. So not as it's what is mature seinen or seinen?
Yeah, well, I mean, seinen is by nature a mature genre.
Oh, is that the mature? I thought that may have been the younger one. I remember. I always get those
No,
mixed up.
shonen is like young men's. Seinen is like for the older audience.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, okay, yeah, no, I'll definitely agree with that. Definitely on there. But all right, Yuki, what do we got on the next?
Next up is I'll become a villainess that will go down in history.
Oh God, this is
真の強い彼女に憧れて容赦のない毒舌に共感した。私はもし生まれ変わるなら悪役令嬢がいいと思っていたことを今思い出した。ここは間違いなくあのゲームの世界。つまり私は悪役令嬢に転生したんだわ。今から努力して歴史に残る悪女になってみせるわ。白女試練だわ。あまりの愚かさに頭が痛くなりますわね。どう？絵に描いたような悪女でしょ。何かを試されているの。
どうなんだろうな。
全ては野望のため。さあ悪女を駆け上がっていくわよ。
all right. I know you avoid the villainous shows normally. Have you watched?
Normally, I have been following this one though, which I guess says something. Like most of these are honestly difficult for me to tell apart, which is part of why I end up not watching them. This one I feel like has more of a isekai flavor to it, if that makes sense.
Well, for starters, the main character, instead of trying to do the standard villainous plotline of, oh, I'll just be not evil. Nah, leads into it. No, I'm going to be the dark queen of evil. Screw it. Kind of bit.
Yeah, just intentionally trying to be as evil as possible.
Oh, you need to defeat this country? Well, no, we'll just slowly cut off their supply lines, starve their populace into open revolt, and then as their armies are failing, swoop in to stabilize the country and input our own puppet governor.
Yeah?
Say that as the 8-year-old in the class looks at the teacher. Oh!
yeah, like I don't know. It definitely it has more like rather than feeling like an otome game that all these are usually based off of, although it's set in that framework as a setting and has a female lead, it feels more like a bog standard isekai with her having like, the over the top power levels and everything and her own clear motivations that aren't locked into by the game.
Oh, it's definitely a fun. I will say this is exactly what it says on the cover.
Oh
This,
yeah, for
this
sure.
is one episode fairly easily.
Honestly, you barely even need the episode. Like the title explains it, but
Yep. But if I'm a dead sucker for anything where you're following an evil villain character, just because you don't get to see them done and watching a writer trying to justify and then he slaughtered the town is always interesting.
all right. Next up, we have Orb on the movements of the Earth.
Oh,
この世はバカばっかりだ。でも気づいたらその
Hi, Varric. Welcome.
僕が立ってた。禁じられた研究って一体何なんです？
この世の平穏を乱すような研究は見過ごせない。
宇宙がどういう形をしているか知っているか。
天が静止して地球が動く。
そうだ。
地動説。今から地球を動かす。
Okay, there is. I'm not sure how much I want to unpack with this one.
Yeah, try not to do any spoilers. This one was a did not watch for me, so you totally get to take the reins on it, though.
Okay, so this one is not a fantasy, but supposed to be set in our real world dark ages, and is about the study of astrology. Funny enough, I'm only catching this because because of the stuff I'm currently reading off on my own, was kind of also covering a philosophy, but Orb is I believe in reference to an old philosopher. I won't. It's a long bit on that one. I think I went over that on your stream last night too. But this is supposed to be. This is taking all of our real world Dark Age history, expanding on it in like how oppressive we were, how because if you've ever looked at crazy early astrology history and just scientists trying to figure out how the world works
and getting burned at the stake for it.
Yeah, not a figure of speech there, quite literally.
Yeah, literally and metaphorically. Sometimes they were killed in other ways, but frequently it was stake burning.
The guillotine was invented for efficiency, people. Just remember that.
Well, but it was invented for efficiency in beheading the French aristocracy.
Oh yeah, true. I will give you that. But no, this is I believe episode 1. Just a mild bit of spoiler, but when I say dark, I mean think Berserk dark. If this doesn't kind of give you Fear and Hunger vibes right from that art style. We opened with a philosopher having his fingernails removed because the church didn't like what he was talking about. So dark, one episode is all you need on this one. But if you like that darker history and kind of the understanding of astrology itself, it's a very neat look at that old style base skills of learning, of people fighting in their own world as well, while still trying to push the boundaries of everything they love.
Conversely, if gratuitous torture makes you uncomfortable, you might want to avoid this one.
Hard R if you are unaware of how dark and twisted shows could be. Well, you can learn. But anyone who doesn't want to find out, yeah, stay away from that. But yeah, no, hard R on that one. Also, a Netflix show. Yep. All right. What do we got next, Yuki?
Next up, we have the most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan.
そういえば面白い話がある。あのオーバーデスの孫が帝都でシーカーをしているそうだ。だが彼のジョブは話術師。誰もが知る最弱のジョブだな。彼の名はノエル・ストーレン。
ノエル・ストーレン。
ノエルよ。それでもお前はシーカーを目指すのか。立てノエル。
まだまだ。その体を作るには不屈の努力が必要。
多分死ぬような努力をして覚えておけ。これが最強のシーカーになる男の顔だ。
俺は話術師ノエル・ストーレン、偉大な英雄オーバーデスの意志と技を受け継ぐ者でもある。
シーカーには興味ない。僕が興味あるのは君だけ。
己を信じるその目、それを手に入れるため何を犠牲にした。その依頼、俺らライトニングバイトが引き受けた。
またうちの勝ち。
オーダーだ。俺は飾りだけのリーダーだけどね。で、今度は何の悪巧みだ。じゃああんたがけじめをつける番だな。面白い。俺は最強を従い最強となる。
Would you agree that this is basically we have trashier, more edgelordy, let this grieving soul retire at home?
Yeah, I'm not gonna. It's like the gun takes me so out of this every time I see it. Like this is I can enjoy trash. I can enjoy fun little romp all that. It just.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm so tired of seeing modern guns in fantasy and historical settings.
Like, you have a fantasy, like, I don't get, like, even having a gun isn't a big deal. Do something with it, please. Not just, it's a revolver.
I have it.
And the show is, like, so proud of, like, the ending. The ending credit song is just following this gun. Rotating on screen. Like clips from the show. It's like they are so hyped up about this stupid gun. What is with this?
Yeah, so you know, there is this whole sort of philosophical essay or debate or argument or whatever you want to call it about the sort of the way of the sword versus the way of the gun and how that has influenced anime. And in early anime, we saw primarily the way of the sword, which was to say that if a character had a weapon or a mech or whatever it was only powerful because it was an extension of the person. What we're starting to see is more the way of the gun, where the person is powerful because of the thing that they have. Sometimes literally a gun, sometimes more metaphorically in the sense of OP powers or whatever it might be. So we're seeing this whole generation of shows that have kind of like missed the roots of their own culture, and have ended up with this like I'm gonna blame it on the fact that our current crop of shows is largely based off of like fan fiction that was based off of fan fiction that was based off of fan fiction that was based off of fan fiction.
A little piece of me wants to say, like, it's not that, but it's like, nah, it kind of is.
Like that's basically what the light novel like zeitgeist has become, it seems. And every once in a while you have something original, but then you have like, 7 generations of light novels that are based off of that, and then based off of that, and then based off of that over and over again. And somewhere along the line, you get some of these more amateur takes that yeah, I'm going in way too much depth on this, but it's certainly something worth looking up if you're interested in that kind of topic, because it has a very strong influence on the shows that we see. Anyway,
all right.
Anything else you want to say on this one?
If you need more fantasy trash, there it is for you.
Wait, did we? Yeah, okay. All right. Next up, we have Tying the Knot with an Amagami Sister.
何かあったら大人の私を頼ってくれていいからね。
だいたい男を居候させるだなんて私は反対だったんだ。
だからうちのこと本当の妹みたいに可愛がってくれていいんですよ。テレビアニメ「甘神さんちの縁結び」。この恋はちょっと不思議。巫女さん姉妹と紡ぐ奇跡のラブコメディ。
All right, I had my suspicions originally, but I hadn't seen that trailer. This is based off a visual novel, isn't it?
Quite possibly. I'm not actually certain myself, but I wouldn't be terribly surprised.
Yeah.
That said, this is definitely your bog standard harem, ecchi kind of fan service show. However, if you like those kind of shows with less actual overt nudity, then this might be up your alley.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, these characters are all technically underage, so if that's a problem for you, give this one a wide berth.
Come on, it's like they're all trying. You could have. The main character's in college, isn't he?
He's preparing for college. He's preparing for college entrance exams to try to get into med school. So he's probably about 18, whereas the we know one of the female leads is 19. The middle sister was, I want to say, 16, and the youngest sister was 14.
I'm liking this
Who
one
is,
less
by the way,
now.
the one who probably comes onto him the hardest sexually. That's worth noting.
Yeah, but honestly, this feels like a show I've seen a dozen times before. And
Oh, for sure. There's nothing super fresh here, but it's if you like this genre of show, it's a decent watch.
Yep, I will say it's right what it is in the box. No twists or turns I could see. Episode 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't really say so. Like, there's certainly a little bit of like emotional backstory that kind of filters in here and there, but it's nothing. Well, hmm. I will throw out that it does develop a little bit of like an Amagami Brilliant Park kind of element to it, where there's this whole kind of subplot of like trying to save the shrine financially and like how they accomplish that, which is kind of intriguing. That doesn't really come to fruition until like episode 3 or 4. Um, but you pretty much know what you're getting into in terms of like general show content by episode 1. Maybe episode 2 does get a little more fan service. No, it's fan servicey off the bat.
Yep. All right. What do we have on the next?
Next up, the healer who was banished from his party.
私あのお兄さんとパーティーを組むってずっと前から決めてたんで。いつだって負けないよ負けないよ最強。
もしかして迷宮で何か起きてるんじゃないか。
お兄さんを傷つけたこと後悔しなさい。
お前たちに許されているのは自分自身を追放することだけだ。
まるでこの町にいてもらっては困るみたいにね。
眠っておればよいもの。
ラストさん、私たちを助けてはいただけませんか。
あの男は野放しにしてはおけない。
なるせえな。明日どこかで時間をくれないか。大切な話があるんだ。
風を起こせばいいさ吹く風がもしもそこにないとしても自分が強くなる女の子なのねあなたは。私お兄さんを救うためにこの町に来たのにお兄さんのお荷物になっちゃってる。
お前に取れるほどその責任は軽くない。
いい男になったじゃないか、バカ弟子のくせに。
お兄さんとパーティーを組むの。
あの言葉がなかったら今度こそ冒険者をやめていたのかな。そうしたらあの子と会うこともなかったんだな。
What does Japan have against healers? Seriously, why is this a subgenre?
I think it probably comes from MMOs and like the way healers are treated in MMOs. If I had to guess,
I made healers in MMOs. I have since the days of the Burning Crusade. We are treated like gods. What in the hell is with all this hate?
I feel like it might be a little bit different in like the Japanese and Korean environments. I can definitely say that in the Korean MMOs I've played, like Ragnarok Online, it feels a lot different. Like the game itself feels very stacked against you.
Okay, but the one thing, okay, I will give this one is it's not that the healer has other abilities that make him strong, but he's also a good healer. It's the main character feels like he should have been anything but a healer.
Yeah, that's accurate. Also, there's a plot twist in episode 4 that I don't want to spoil that really kind of changes everything.
Yeah, I figured there was going to be some big twist. I figured it was either going to be like the first or like mid. I didn't think it was going to be right there. But without that, one episode to know what you're getting into besides mid dedication commitment.
Yeah. Also, this is definitely firmly in like the fantasy trash genre again. And once again, we have one of these situations where we've got like probably an early to mid 20s male lead and a female lead who's definitely like 14 or 15 who badly wants to hook up with the main character.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I figured I was going to be
content
talking about this
warning.
concept more in other shows. I keep forgetting it's all over here too.
Yep.
All right. At least it's all right. Are we to the creepy?
Creepy? No, not quite. We are on Demon Lord 2099.
All right, play it away.
それは原初の産声、新たなる態度。復活の時、来たれり。最短は水底から浮き上がる感覚に近い。暗い水の底からゆっくりと浮き上がるように意識が上昇していく。そうして500年の時を経て復活した。魔王2099。
I'm not gonna lie, Yuki, are you familiar with the Marvel comic series 2099?
I am not.
All right. So one of the vibes that this show happened to give off was from one of the books in that series, specifically Doom 2099. What would happen if, you know, this ancient dark power woke up in the far cyberpunk future?
Yeah.
It's interesting what they do with it.
In more anime terms, I would say this is very much like, oh geez, what was the one called where the Demon King ends up working at McDonald's? That was,
Oh, right. You mean WickDonald's?
yeah, WickDonald's. It was super popular, but I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Yeah. Demon Lord's part-time job or something?
No, it doesn't sound quite right. Hang on, Googling it real quick. Devil is a part-timer. Yeah, this is very much like Cyberpunk Devil is a part-timer.
A little darker
like-
than that one, though, it feels like.
Oh yeah, it's less of a over-the-top comedy and has much more of those like Cyberpunk Edge Runner vibes.
But with the Dark Lord.
Yeah. I will note that although there's not generally a ton of like action or sakuga going on, this is still a very pretty show. The backgrounds are done really, really well. The characters have a ton of detail to them, and all of it feels like it has a very strong natural flow to it. The characters, although they don't move around violently very frequently, they don't have that like static lip flap feel that we get in a lot of shows.
Yeah. I will say one other thing that really appealed to me for this one is, while I am a sucker for the, you know, following the an evil style character, putting him in a dystopian cyberpunk future really lends off to the gray areas kind of feel. Because, oh yeah, no, it's if you've ever woken up like, you know what, bring on the apocalypse. Let's just let everything end.
Well, not only that, but I think part of what makes this show compelling is that the main character wasn't really necessarily evil to begin with. In fact, you could say that it was really the immortals who were being persecuted, and that he's just like one of a handful of survivors of several waves of that persecution.
Yep. Oh, they are now in. There's a little bit of a mixed feeling with the villain on that one in this show, since it happens to be leading it too. So, or the antagonist for the show at least.
Oh yeah. don't want to give too many spoilers there either.
Yep. I want to say 2 for this one, just because of how much stuff sets up and how much you need to get going into the loop of it so far.
Yeah, that seems about right to me, because like you don't, I think, even meet the antagonist until episode 2, really, if I remember right.
Maybe I think that was 1. I think the Fallout
Not
was from.
totally sure.
Yeah, you watched one episode of this, then you go on to the next. This one's also coming out as a highly recommended. So.
Yeah, that said, this one's running a little bit behind some of the other series, which makes it a little harder to give a great feel for where it is.
Yep.
We only just got episode 3 on it.
Yep, I haven't even caught that one yet. Yeah, darn it. All right.
All right. Next up, we have Goodbye Dragon Life.
大陸アークレスト王国北方の辺境にある小さな村ベルン。竜として死んだ私が何の因果か人として生を受けた場所だ。人間はこのような過酷な環境で暮らしていたのかと驚くばかりだ。
この村のことを知ったらどんどんみんなのことを好きになったんです。
この村の食べ物は何にしても美味しいから喜んでいただくよ。
ドランさんは薬草の目利きもいいし、あとかっこいいし。ドランさん、そろそろ帰りましょうよ。
そのまま姿勢を崩さず体幹を意識しろ。
私がドランさんと一緒に森へ行きます。ドランさん、いいですよね。
調査は私とセリナに任せてほしい。怪我一つ負わずに帰ってくる。約束しよう。ベルン村へようこそ。
I like milk.
Yeah, it makes much more sense as a joke once you've watched a little bit of the show. So this one's really kind of a bog standard, fantasy trash show again. It is relatively charming, though. It definitely has me coming back to watch more of it. If that's your genre, you're gonna be into this one. Also, if you like cute monster girls, this'll be your thing.
Due to the renowned and follow of a certain encyclopedia, Lamias are forever on my like list. That being said, this is a bit more laid back than a lot of the other trash fantasy shows we are getting. Probably not the most laid back of the season, but this is a nice, relaxing show. This wants to be cute and charming, not, action-packed and bombastic.
Yeah, no, this is more like my farming lifestyle series.
That being said, it does set up an interesting world. The main character is considerably overpowered, probably in the where he's at, and they do get it. Does feel they start to get a little political in it, but overall, decent animation, cute characters. They get into how the mechanics of a medieval fantasy world village would run. They do a lot. They do quite a few interesting things in this show.
That said, don't expect like really strong political intrigue. It definitely goes into that, but it's not the kind of show that is going to be like leaving you at the edge of your seat trying to guess what's going to happen next or anything like that. It's going to kind of feed you the answers pretty quickly.
Yeah. That being said, 1 or 2 episodes on this one, because there is a bit more that happens plot relevantly on episode 2, I feel like.
Yeah, I think probably 2 episodes on this one.
It does set up its world to be a little bit more complex, to have a little bit more story to it. But overall, it's fairly simple, just a little bit richer than the average show.
All right. Next up, we have Suma Show.
10年前確かに私は一度
Also known as my wife came back as an elementary schooler or something like that.
なんで小学生の姿になって帰ってきたのかとかさ、あんたたちとこうしてまた家族やれてるんだから。
戻ってきてくれて本当に。
マイ高え。
マイが泣くから
我慢することじゃないだろ。
新島さん、娘さん転職されたんですね。
ああ、もう一度挑戦したいと言ってね。
素敵ですね。
あいつが帰ってくるんじゃないかって釣りをしながら待ってるだけ。
そういう部分は妻に似たんだろうな。
本当に私が好きね。生まれ変わったことにどんな意味があるかはわからない。でもわがままを言ってもいいじゃない。
そんなことでいちいち腹を立ててたら回覧板回してもらえなくなっちゃうわよ。はあ？だって今私小学生なんだから。
どこ行ってたの？ただじゃおかないから。
だからこのままうちに。
違う！新島高江にとって正解でも白石まりかとしては正解じゃない。
すごい熱だ。また家族で見られるんだな。俺たちは運命の糸で結ばれてるんだから。
外でそんな話しない。やっぱあんのね、大切なものって。テレビアニメ「妻小学生になる」。ちょっとあんた何泣いてんのよ。恥ずかしい。吹きなさい。
はい。
10月6日放送開始。
Why does this one feel so free? Okay, I know why. I know why it feels so weird. Why is this the way? Can you have words that are coherent?
I have words. So, this series I was definitely expecting to be more of like the lolly bait kind of series. But I feel like it's definitely gone pretty hard in the other direction, where it's much more concerned with dealing with like the pain of loss and like what it would mean to people to actually have their loved one come back reincarnated, and how that person having their own new life would factor into those relationships. So it's if anything, the show is overtly conscious about making sure that the characters don't fall into that lolly bait trap, like to the level of like the characters are constantly reminding each other like, no, don't do that. It will make people have the wrong idea and you will get sent to prison.
Yeah, that being said, that still is a weird part of this show, that if that is anything that kind of bugs you, it's going to be front and center the whole time.
Oh yeah. However, I can say at least thus far, while there's, a lot of like complex lingering feelings there, they have not in any way, shape, or form looted or sexualized the lolly.
Which, yeah, credit for that. Just, I know the story they are trying to tell. The problem is the anime format itself is so rampant with that, the kind of bait that I'm terrified this wants to turn into. That it's at the back of my mind the whole time. It's just like they want to go there. They want to go there. They want to go there.
Eating away at you.
Yeah. It's it has been a genuine problem when I'm watching this show. It's just because of I know so many shows that do that, and this show is just kind of no, we're not. It's like thou doth protest too much.
Yeah, so that said, because of the type of genre it is and everything, it's hard to give this one a solid recommendation up front, because we truly don't know for certain where it could end up going. We can only tell you what we've experienced of it thus far. I can't tell you how many episodes would be needed to judge this one, because honestly, I only got a chance to watch the first one. We kind of figured out at the last minute which show this was, because we were looking for it under a different name and realized that they were using like the Japanese name on Crunchyroll, which is not typical.
Standardize your format at some point, please. It makes this job so much harder. I don't. The problem is this is a story that's kind of building off of itself. So each episode, it does feel like it's adding more and more and more to it. That being said, I feel like one episode, it's like there is a lot more here, but everything you need to get over to enjoy the show is front and center episode 1. So I feel like if you can get past that, you're pretty much going to be on the train here.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like that might be the case, but I couldn't really tell for sure having only watched episode 1.
Yeah, I've gotten to 2 on this one, and more is building, but it's building. Nothing twisting, just there's more now. But
fair enough.
Complexity too, because they do start addressing that kind of. It's episode 1 is very much oh dear God, yay. Episode 2, oh okay, yeah, let's keep going, I guess. But all right, I think one episode, if you getting into that, should have a good feel. All right, what do we have?
Next up, we have Negative Positive Angler.
あと2年。
ええ、このままですと残念ながら。
お先真っ暗、転落人生まっしぐらの俺が、まだ暑さが残るその日、人生の終わりを告げられたのです。
うちの店は一筋縄ではいかないよ、佐々木常弘君。
ああ、どれもこれも一緒にしか見えん。全くわからん。
はあ、まあいろんな種類があるけれど使ってみよう。
たく釣りに興味ないやつもいたっていいだろう。俺たちさ、全員ここでバイトしてんだ。
住んでんだよ、ここに。魚釣りはさ、難しいもんな。
それでも俺たちは釣りをする。なんでそこまでやるかというと、なぜだろう。は？ほっとけって言われても全部無駄かどうかなんてわかんねえじゃん。
人生って限りあるじゃん。楽しいと思ったことをやってたらどんどん増えちゃって。
お前運がいいな。
逃げて逃げてこんなとこまで逃げてきたんだろ。だったらここからやり直そうぜ。ね。やるか
？Okay, a little PSV wants to put this in the healing anime category, but I think that's just a side effect of the technical anime that it actually is covering a healing hobby.
I don't know about that. So, okay, ostensibly this show is about fishing, which is not typically an interesting subject, right? And the way that this show manages to be interesting is by not really being about fishing. It probably says something that by a wide margin, the worst looking thing in the show is the fish.
Yuki's hate of CGI continues.
Yes. Well, bad CGI. This show is really more about like found family and dealing with adult life and like how to survive the kind of adult trauma that comes your way in the world than it is about fishing. Fishing is more like the impetus that brings the characters together. And it does go into some technical detail about fishing because the characters are super into fishing. But it's more of a vehicle to all the other stuff going on in the characters' lives and their relationships to each other than it is anything else.
Yep, it's. Well, let me ask you: how common is fishing around, like, just going out and fishing, like in the area you live? Are you in a deserty or a lakey area?
Well, I'm on the coast in California, so there's definitely large bodies of water around me, but I would say the majority of people don't go fishing very often because for the most you need to have a boat.
Yeah, okay. It's because I live in a very lake-heavy kind of area, and just people going out to a dock and fishing, riding your bike down to there, just doing that, and then hanging out with other people who are also just kind of doing that is very much a thing, like around where I live. So on that aspect,
yeah, I guess we do actually have a nearby lake that has like fish stocked in it. But I just don't see like a huge number of people actually doing it.
Yeah. No, like that is a legit a thing, and this is where I get that kind of vibe from in the show, because this very much is, somebody who has honestly, like wow, is this like this guy has the backstory that would make the Joker kind of go, ooh, bad day, man. But it's that zen, it's that found family you kind of can get. The fishing is a part of it, but not the greatest bit. It's also, fishing isn't highly technical. A little piece of me wanted to argue against that, but it's really not.
I mean, it can be like there's definitely technical aspects to it.
Yeah, but you just get to a certain point of, oh, I know the basics, and then I'm good at fishing now. It's you don't get better. You don't master fishing. You get good.
I mean, I guess it depends. Like, if you're in it for the relaxation, or if you're trying to be like a top tier sports fisherman.
I never understand that. I would say one episode is a very good feel for this one, though.
For sure, yeah.
I like to also say, if you want to watch a kind of get better fishing show, there it is for you.
Yeah, and honestly, like, this one has definitely been pretty compelling for me. So I don't really see any content that would be objectionable or anything like that in it for the most part either. Give it a shot. It's worth a view to get a feel for the show.
Yep. All right then. What do we have next?
Next up is the Do-Over Damsel Conquers the Dragon Emperor.
あの日あの時違う選択をしていたなら誰かを好きだったこと失敗のまま終わらせたくないのに次さえあったなら覚えてる
このパーティーは私この方に一目惚れしました。
このハリステオス・ラーベ、あなたの求婚をお受けしよう。
この声、隣国の呪われた皇帝。
僕に求婚してくるなんて、それって僕を好きだってことだよな。
はい。
なんだか6年後とだいぶ印象が。
一生かけて幸せにするなんて言われたのは初めてで。
この皇帝は悪い男じゃ。
本気か。
私に二言はない。陛下は私がお守りします。幸せにすると約束しましたから。おいハディス、嫁がすごすぎる。
本日は私の竜と接触してもらう。
ラーベ帝国第二王子だ。お前のせいだぞこのバカ。
私が突破口を開きます。
どうやって
この壁を破ります。はあ、6年前に巻き戻って初めて思う。これからだ。今度は失ってたまるか。
竜妃の指輪、竜神の祝福を受けた皇帝の妻の証だ。
If the tone felt like it shifted in the middle of that to anybody else, it didn't feel like it did. It did.
I want to throw out there too. Like this show has been so done before that I feel like I've literally seen the exact plot of the first like 3 or 4 episodes play out before in a different show somewhere.
Yeah, this show has 3 different tones: dark, realistic, brutal fantasy, comical shonen fantasy, and cute love interest fantasy. And it will shift in between those 3 genres without warning.
Oh yeah, it'll give you whiplash.
Just that, and we had to go with what was the exact line? I'm gonna paraphrase this, probably be a little bit wrong. Still just as creepy. It's like, my wife could be no older than 14. Younger is even better, so I can raise her right.
Yeah, definitely notable that this is a series where the main character is a 12-year-old who is definitely married to someone who is definitely an adult.
I think she is 14. I think he is 18 to be exact. But at the same point, yeah, that's weird. That's very, very weird and groomy. And
there might be a time skip, but I'm pretty sure that they actually straight up said that she was 12 in the episode where they first linked up.
I can believe it. They try to get around this by making her incredibly powerful. I think she picks up a boat and hucks it at one point.
I mean, she's definitely super lolly, but if there's a way they're trying to get around it, it's probably the time reversal element where she retains her memories of being significantly older. I think she was like 17 or 18 before she time skipped backwards.
Yep, and spoiler warning, but that's not the creepiest thing in this show. There is some like I said, at some points this is dark. Glad. Yeah, Dan's pretty good.
Dan is crazy.
But that being said, the do-over damsel is such a colossal trade. I don't even want to say trade wreck, but cluster of a show. I don't want to call it good, but it's entertaining.
Oh yeah, it's interesting. I'll give it that.
That being said, I feel like we don't get to know the male lead until episode 2, which is fairly important, seeing his particular level of crazy. No
That's
problems
totally
here.
fair.
Glenn. But do you think episode 2 would be better on this one?
Probably, yeah. And yeah, Glenn, that's exactly why we give these kind of content warnings, to make sure people know what they're getting into going in.
That content warning has been flagged too much for this stream, this season. It's... Yeah, we've gone through at least 3 shows like that, and that warning out there pretty heavily.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, it's something that's pretty common in general.
Yeah. Okay. But I do kind of have to give that my recommendation, though. It's such a weird beast of a show. But anything more you gotta say?
No, nothing else to really add on my side, other than Super Lolly is going to beat the tar out of you.
Yeah. Alright, so what do we got next, Yuki?
Next up is Mecha Ude Mechanical Arms.
鳥がそれを手にした人間は最強の肉体を得るという。見せてくれよ。そのトリガーアームの力をよ。
お前アームズの黒金の草案使い。
私はこっちだ。こっちだ。私の名前はなんだ。
知らねえよ。お前の目的は何だ。アルマを利用して何を企んでいる。
俺はヒカルだ。天津がヒカル。
飛べ。
お前らメカ腕は所詮俺たち人間の道具に過ぎないんだよ。
I would say it's more written to kill the kill, personally. But I'll get to that in a second.
お前は何もするな。お前みたいなヘラヘラ生きてるやつには何も変えられない。何もできない。
俺には何もできねえよ。俺一人じゃな。
少年、前へ進め。君とならなんとかなる気がするんだ。行くぞ、光る。
これがトリガーアームの力。
Yeah, no, Glenn, I'm gonna be there, right there with you. That is exactly what I thought when I first saw that. I once described Fully Coolly after only watching the trailer to a cousin of mine, and that ability is basically what I described to them, is this show's premise. And that just kind of stuck with me.
Fair enough. At the same time, I think it's no accident that the show keeps saying the word trigger over and over again. Animation style-wise and everything, it's very clearly aping, like, Studio Trigger's Kill la Kill.
Yeah. I will say the premise on this is very interesting. It's... a lot of the tropes feel box standard shonen.
Oh, for sure.
But...
like, it's definitely aimed at, like, a younger shonen audience, but at the same time, like... the animation quality is definitely there. Like, even the CG components are, like, totally not noticeable to all but the most trained eyes. The compositing is really solid. Yeah, it's a very nice looking show. I think, if anything, the only complaint I can give is that I feel like the plot may not actually end up having that much substance, because it is basically intended to be an action show aimed at a younger audience.
Yeah, well, what was it? The main character's power, or the reason that the sacred artifact likes him, is he's a nice guy.
Yeah?
I think that's literally the reason they give. But once again, it's a reason it's a classic format. This is the, kind of quiet kid who is nice, who is trying to be a good person, kind of getting thrust into situations where he's in over his head but still wants to help.
I will say they do also do a little bit of trope subversion in there. Like, there's definitely moments where, like, the main character is expecting something very main character-y to happen, and then everyone just kind of like craps all over him instead.
Yep. That being said, the line between the good and the bad guys is fairly obvious. There might be twists later down, but those probably won't be revealed till end of the series, kind of thing.
Yeah, don't expect a lot of like moral gray area out the gate in this show.
Yep. I will say, you know what you're getting in episode 1. If this had a better plot, I would have probably put this in must watch, but it's box standard shonen.
Yeah, it's definitely high quality, but there's nothing super unique about it, is really the problem. It doesn't have like the special kind of edginess that something like Kill la Kill or Fooly Cooly had. And it doesn't have the feeling that there's something deeper that it's all an allegory for.
Yep. That being said, like we said, though, it's beautifully done. This is the good old trope lines done by a group that knows what they're doing.
Give it a watch if you want some eye candy.
Yep. Okay.
Alright, next up is Nina the Starry Bride.
黎明の青まっすぐなその瞳が見てるのはこれよりお前はこの国の姫巫女アリシャになり変わるそれがお前の役目だ
俺そんなアリシャってやつに似てるのか
似てるのはその瞳の色だけだ何度言えばわかるんだ
君耳いっぺんにいろいろ言われたって覚えられるもんか姉上僕は次期王だぞアズ
アズーだと
アズール様にそのような口を聞けるのはあなただけです
この国のためにお前の協力が必要なのだ
黄色の目獣の目の色だ
ちゃんと腕を首に回せ
あったかいうわなんだこれなんか恥ずかしいちゃんと私を知ってくれてる人がいる
殺す目的で身代わりを立てたお前はただ一人だ
一緒にいたい神様に嘘をつくきっと天罰が下るそれでもいい星の下なんかじゃない私が自分で選んだ我が星の神に誓って私はアリシャです
浅はかな姫め誰がお前のような女相手にするものか
白銀に赤
汚れのない善この世で俺が最も嫌いなものだ
ああこれは勝負だ
何なんだこの姫はニナ待ってろって言ったよな
これはもう俺のものだニナ
Okay, this... I feel like I've watched this story a couple of times before. Like you were, I think when you said it with the, what was it? That Dragon Emperor, you'd felt that story before. That's how I felt watching this. It's like, I've seen these plots. I've seen this plot before. I've seen this story before.
Yeah. I feel like this one, you probably have to watch episode 3 before it really starts to reveal its true colors, but at the same time, you'll know whether or not this is a series for you by episode 1.
Yeah.
That said, also, again, that kind of content warning, this is a much younger female character engaging in ultimately a romance with a much older male lead.
Or leads, in this case. Possibly.
I
maybe
was not aware of the harem aspect, but maybe, yeah, okay.
I'm just kind of going off what the trailer showed there. It's like we haven't not seen that in the first couple of episodes, But that trailer looks like it was showing off stuff from the back half of the series, honestly.
Fair enough. I mean, at the very least, we do know that the romance that is forming is between her and the person who is not her fiance.
Technically, it's supposed to be her brother at this point, but that's very much less incestuous than it sounds.
Yeah, without spoilers.
But no, very. It's. I think the other thing that kind of bugged me is this wants to be just a. I don't want to say fantasy. It's almost feels historical setting, but I could not place where they wanted to put this. This looks like
it's like
ancient Japan or ancient China.
I wouldn't even say that. It has more like Middle Eastern vibes to it, in my opinion.
Some of it does, but the if you look at that starting city, like anything that's not like slums has a very like either Japanese or Chinese style to like their castles.
The castles maybe, but like the architecture in the town feels very like Baghdad or something.
Yeah,
So I don't know. It feels like there's kind of a mix of cultures going on there or something.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe that China, Middle Eastern area kind of bit. It's really hard to feel where this is supposed to take place, but it feels like that part of the world kind of bit.
Yeah, at least from what we can gather.
Yep. Okay. Interesting, but not original. All right. Would you like to set up the next one, or do we have?
Yeah. Next up is Kabushigaisha Magilumiere or Magilumiere Magical Girls Incorporated.
自己 PR をどうぞ。
はい、私の強みは努力家であることです。
近距離魔法テンプレ後展開。
常に事前準備と下調べをして物事に臨むことで、
単体適応出力は150。
あらゆる事態に対処できるようにしています。
208。これでも食らえ。
魔法少女、誰もが憧れて高級取りで人気が高い立派な一つの職業だ。会員の増加とともに年々魔法少女企業もその数を増やし、現在では大手から中小まで500社以上が存在している。
お待たせしました。株式会社マジルミアです。早くしないとこのビル氷山になんぞ。
私お手伝いします。
新卒で魔法少女を募集することに決まりました。
魔法少女企業。
はじめまして、社長の重本だ。そうとなれば変身じゃ。
変身って聞こえましたけど。そんじゃあ一丁お仕事行きますか。
すごい。私今魔法少女してるんだ。業務実行。ここでは私は世界から必要とされるんだ。
Alright. I did not watch this one, so I'm going to let you take the lead on it for sure, but I did want to throw out there that that character who popped up definitely reminds me of the famous male Sailor Moon cosplayer.
Oh, you're not quite off on that one. Okay, so the basic setup for this show is a bit similar to Tiger and Bunny, if you're familiar with that old one. Magical girls are corporatized and hunt monsters when they appear as contracts from other groups. Our main story revolves around a kind of a startup company just getting on its feet and their newest hiree. This kind of goes into the corporate side a bit. It's less a magical girl a bit on that one and more of what it would take to run a corporation like that. My brain just keeps defaulting back to Tiger and Bunny. It's like that feel and the inspiration is definitely there, retooled into the magical girls genre, but it does do a lot of good of its own twists.
Yeah, like competing for sponsorships and stuff like that.
Yep. Or contracts. once again, it's the chairman of the company was the titular man dressed as a magical girl. He runs the corporation as both a I love magical girl concepts and I'm also good at business. So knows what he is doing, but also is kind of a fan. So it's weird. The main character will definitely even go, what? In their job interview, because that's what they came in there. I don't know if you started a job interview and the person who walked in was dressed like that. What would your reaction be, Yuki?
I mean, I would probably be caught a tiny bit off guard just because of how unusual it is. But honestly, I would take it in stride, especially given where I live and the people I hang out with.
That being said, I was a bit apprehensive at the start of it. This looked like maybe another box standard magical girl show, but yeah, it was weird. Something about like
Is your place haunted now? It is spooky season.
I wouldn't surprise me. Weird stuff's always happening around me.
I think going back to the question you asked me for a moment, I think my main reaction would be, oh, okay, this definitely tells me something about the dress code at this company.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be there. That's what I'm looking for. Sorry, I'm trying to spot the thumbnail for this one, and I am not seeing it. Okay, just add in there.
As it gets lagged all to death again.
It should be good. Well, I'm just kind of a piece of me is kind of wondering if episode 1 or 2 is what I would recommend on this one. 1 is a lot of setup. 2 gets you into the flow of the episodes a little bit more often. I think I want to go with 2. I am definitely more hooked than I thought I was. We did kind of pass over this one because we had the wrong name to start with, so we were both kind of still digging into it. But yes,
And also I believe this one was on Prime, so it wasn't at the top of my radar.
Yeah, that might have been the other. Yeah, a lot of shows on Prime, if anyone's not aware. We will be trying to point those out, but they did have a couple over there.
Yeah, they don't do the best job of promoting them either. So even if you use Prime on a somewhat regular basis, you may not be aware that those shows exist on there.
Yep, that and their subtitles are the worst.
Yeah, their app is not amazing for that. All right. Next up is a high dive show. How I attended an all guys mixer.
よし行くぞ。
俺合コンとか初めてだ。時は
俺もだよ。
かわいい子いるかな。
同じゼミの女の子に誘われて合コン初心者の俺たちが向かった待ち合わせの場所には、
なんで自分まで来なきゃいけないんすか。
まあまあ、ログボ。
男だな。
男だね。
待たせるとはいい度胸だね。どこにしようか。そう硬くならないで。どうしたの？まだ何もしてないよ。
背景込みの写真。バレたか。
スオさんは距離感おかしいことを自覚した方がいいっすよ。
みんな女性の姿に戻ってください。
何撮ってんの？俺王様だ。
楽しんでもらえるように取り持たないと。
ねえ、時和くん。じゃあ二次会も行こう。
白馬の姫様。わーい、もういっぱい飛んじゃいたい。今夜限りのメリーゴーランタイム。もう一回バカみたいな奇跡でもおいでよ。
そういえばなんで俺を合コンに誘ってくれた？
おや？もう講義が始まるよ。
これ聞いちゃダメなやつ？てかなんでそれを？
だって嬉しかったから。
お手を拝借。
テレビアニメ合コンに行ったら女がいなかった話。
So the quick synopsis on this one, for those who don't speak Japanese and couldn't pick it up from the preview here, without any major spoilers, because this is all first episode stuff. 3 guys are invited to a mixer party by a girl at their college, and when they arrive, they find what appears to be 3 guys waiting for them, and learn that the girls who invited them are in fact all drag kings who work at a local host bar and are still dressed in their work outfits. Gay panic ensues, and that is pretty much the basis of this show, as these male characters try to come to terms with all these complicated feelings that they're having for these women who are presenting as men.
And if you know how well Japan does gay storylines, this is them trying to do 3 of those with a bit of... They're not really hinting, like, it feels like they want to touch on the trans side of this too, but don't know enough about that to try.
Well, I feel almost more like they're being too reserved about it. Like, it's not that they don't necessarily know enough about it, so much as they're worried about how it will go over. Because, you know, we've had a couple of very trans-heavy series lately, but those are definitely not typical, and for the most part are very poorly received, unless it's just like a joke, right? So it's kind of tough to say there if they're just trying to kind of skirt that line with their audience to make sure that it doesn't tank the show's popularity. But at its heart, this is definitely like it presents as like a yaoi sort of vibes series.
Yeah. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is the fact that they wanted to have them be drag king. It's like, oh no, we wanted to do a gay storyline, but not do a gay storyline. See, it's really okay, and it's
I don't know.
It's I that's what I'm worried they're doing. They devolve into.
Yeah, that's fair. That could be a trap that they end up hitting. But I think so far they've done a pretty interesting job of having the 3 male leads. Like it's really focused on the 3 male leads overcoming their prejudices and becoming more comfortable with themselves and their attraction to these characters thus far.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, it remains to be seen where the series will actually go with it. But if you're into, you know, following series that have like strong LGBTQIA plus connotations, definitely check this one out.
Yeah, it's just be aware that Japan is a more reserved country, and they are not really great at talking about this stuff so much yet. I will say
for sure.
1 episode is, you know what you're getting right after that. Once you hit episode 1, you know where you're at in the show.
Yeah. This is, you know, they're definitely a little behind the times there in that sense, and you have to judge the show by that metric, I feel. But we don't know yet where this one will land in terms of how well it handles those themes.
Yeah, right now the best I would kind of compare this to is I don't quite want to say 90s, maybe early a 90s kind of gay panics comedy.
A little bit, yeah, but
a little bit better than that. I would swing a little bit more early 2000s, but it's
Right.
definitely you could feel the age in this one in compared to what most Americans know nowadays.
Yeah. There's like a little more nuance to it than like the 90s, it just being the butt of a joke thing. But yeah, I'm just not sure what to expect in the long run.
We will see. Please don't disappoint. Okay, what do we got up next?
Up next, we have the Blue Wolves of Mibu, and this is one that we didn't really know about until the last second.
江戸から浪士組が大勢来たのは知ってるかい？
せやけど一部の連中が残ったんや。
それが身風呂よ。
身分村に住み着いた牢と書いて身風呂や。
僕たちはずっと我慢してきた。強くなりたい。
覚悟はできているんだな。
はい。
わかった。鬼の住みか。俺たちのことだ。
嫌われ者の浪士組ですよ。
今日の町を守る志は一つ。
俺の左に立つ。死んだら終わりなんだ。
だとしたらどうする？俺はああいうやつにニブロの未来を託したいと思うんだよ。満点だ。行くぞ。
テレビアニメ青の身風呂。
You know, quite a few historical shows this season. I would definitely say that much. Unfortunately, this is a Crunchyroll show that was not advertised to be part of the fall season. Even though
Way
it
to
is.
go, Crunchyroll.
Like
I definitely didn't watch any of it. I'm not sure if you did.
No, like I said, we both were unaware of this until we were doing our last minute checks, and this kind of oh wait, this is a thing. It's also only on 2 episodes as of the recording of this episode.
That's probably also part of why we missed it, because
Yep.
none of the episodes came out until after we were pretty established in our lineup.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna throw that at 1 episode.
Question
Historical,
mark?
historical, Japanese anime. All right.
One more quick note on the previous series before I forget again is if you're looking for a romance show that features actual verifiable adults this season, that one's got you covered.
Oh, I don't like that we have to put that in here.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I think it's the first one so far.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I take that back. We did have the 365 days till the wedding. That one is also between adults and
That one's literally a travel a vacationing scam. Ugh. All right, what do we got?
All right, next up is Story of a Girl That Was Unable to Become a Mage, which isn't really the title that they used on Crunchyroll. It was more like girls who are unable to become mages or something like that. Anyway.
私大きくなったら絶対魔法使いになれなかった。おぎゃー！キラキラのマ組のみんなと一緒に入学式だなんて。あなたが模試で1位だったのにマ組に不合格だったくるみ未来さんね。マ組に入らない限り魔法使いにはなれない。これは国家の決定事項よ。本当は私も魔法使いになれなかった女の子の話。10月放送開始。私魔法使いになれるのかな。
So we have Little Witch Academia at home.
Kinda, yeah. So I want to touch on the art style for this show first off, because at a glance, it has a very kind of charming, unique style to it with like this very pastel, like literal oil pastel kind of vibe to it. Um, and indeed, like if you look at a still frame or something, they look pretty nice. Under the hood, um, the reason that they do this is to hide the fact that every single character, probably in basically every frame, there might be a few hand 2D animated things here and there, but as far as I can tell, it's pretty much entirely CGI. And they use these filters to kind of cover that up and make the characters and backgrounds look less obviously computer generated, which is relatively successful, but this art style does become kind of visually fatiguing after a while. And it, like at first it's charming, but by like episode 3, it's like I was pretty over it and
I was over it in
wanted them
episode
to like
2.
yeah. um like episode 2 I was like, okay, I've had enough of this. Episode 3 I was like, "Ugh, more of this, really? Do I have to keep watching this?"
Yeah, this is a show I think I ended up texting you about the art style in this one just because I could not pay attention. This is so dull. If there was any competition in the not Hogwarts, not Little Witch Academia, it's if there was any other magical school animes this season, I would say skip this. Like I know there's some stuff coming down the pipeline. I know there's some stuff past the pipeline. This show feels like it got greenlit at this time because they knew they didn't have any competition.
Yeah, and I think in addition to the visual style being what it is, the show's just not very interesting.
No, it's dull. It's incredibly boring. It is so.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the pacing or the content or both. It's probably both to some degree, but it's just it, like I just want to be like doing anything else while I'm watching it.
Yeah, it's not bad enough to throw it in skip, but it's close. If this probably didn't come off at least a little charming at the start, I would have thrown this down there. But that being said, because of how quickly that animation style wears on you, do you want to throw this under 2 episodes just to get a better feel for that?
I don't know. I feel like you know what you're getting into by episode 1, but at the same time, like, yeah, like you won't. It won't wear on you until episode 2. I don't know what to call that.
Yeah, let's throw this in episode. If you can get through episode 2 and you still like this show is for you.
That's fair.
Yep.
All right, next up we have Acro Trip.
No, we're not going up at all.
伊達千鶴子お前にフォッサマグナ参謀になってもらいたい。
西区に怪人警報が出ました。
出た悪夢。急がなきゃ。早く現場に駆けつけないと。出たね。街にはびこる悪はこのベリーブロッサムが許さない。そう、彼女はベリーブロッサム。ゴートゥーヘル。この N 県何なしを守っている魔法少女だ。そしてこれが私。ベリーブロッサムの熱狂的な単なる一ファン。パッとしない悪ならもっと強いてくれ苦戦を。出た悪の総帥クロマ。
この前の返事は決まったのか。
入るわけないでしょおっさまグナって。私はベリーブロッサムを応援してるんだから。
しかしお前はお前で奴の苦戦を望んでいるではないか。ギリギリの姿を見て何も感じないと。
それは好きだけどさ。
本来のやつと渡り合うのはほんの一握りの悪のみ。見たくないのか、追い詰められたベリーブロッサムギリギリの攻防を。
まんまと思うつぼに乗せられてる気はするけど。あたぼうよ、受けて立つわ。
自己紹介がまだだったな。ベリーブロッサムの付き添い真白です。どうぞ。
Yeah, so this is very much we have diet caffeine free gushing over magical girls at home.
I don't even want to make that comparison because like while they both are like evil side deconstructions of magical girl shows, this plot I don't even want to say this one has plot. This is comedic coincidences that happen one after the other.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's very much what you get if you stripped all of the sexual content and animation quality and character
Characterization.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say chemistry out of gushing over magical girls.
Yep. Yeah, the main character is the dead fish of the show. The supporting cast are box standard stereotypical archetypes. The designs I feel like I've seen a dozen times over in other places. Just like the eyes. I enjoy the eyes on the main character and a couple other characters. And that's about the nicest thing I could say about this show. It's
It had something resembling Sakuga in episode 1.
If this thing
I'm tempted to put this in the skip category.
So am I, but it's just the fact that it's unoffensive. There's nothing outstandingly bad about this. This is
it's other than it's kind of boring, but
well, I was gonna say it's like I sat down at a restaurant and ate crackers with a glass of water.
yeah, it's not going to make you sick, but it's not going to be a delicious meal either.
Yeah, you know exactly what you're getting episode 1. There's more stuff that's revealed and happens later, but episode 1 is what it is. This is exactly what it looks like. Okay.
Next up, we have a terrified teacher at ghoul school.
今日からこのクラスの担任になる阿部春明。よろしくね。
そいつ制服フェチらしいぞ。俺たちは妖怪だ。人間を化かして何が俺。あいつのクラスになったのが俺たちの運の尽きだ。
3枚に下ろしてやるよ、魚野郎。しまった、バックンチョされた。
スカートの下にズボン。
今の話ゆっくり書で聞かせてもらおうかな。
お注射の時間だよ。
なんだって生命のあの力は何だ。はてさて、彼を学園に招いたことが吉と出るか凶と出るか楽しみですね。面白いじゃん。
後先考えず突っ走りすぎだバカ。みんなちょっと楽しくなってきたわ。
祭りだ。廊下は走らず競歩でダッシュ。
なむんじゃな。
心のコントロールがうまくできないんだよ、昔から。
大丈夫だよ。君を信じないわけないじゃん。僕はみんなと楽しく素敵な学園生活を送りたいんだ。テレビアニメ妖怪学校の先生始めました。2024年10月より授業開始。
Yeah, this is where we have Iruma-kun at Dome.
Oh no, this is Scooby-Doo in the Ghoul School Japanese edition.
in any case, this is definitely our our token spooky season, not scary spooky themed show. Um,
I don't even make that joke just from the title or anything. Like the plot is even the same as that series was. It's you get to learn about different yokai in Japanese folklore, a bit of their history, a bit of the things about them. But there are better shows for that. The teacher gag gets what in the first episode. It's like, well, he's been cowering under his desk for 40 minutes. I guess we should do something.
Just to move the plot of the show along.
It's I like some of the monster people are kids. There's nothing offensive about it. There's no sexualized minors in this one.
That's not accurate.
Okay, I'll give you that. The
we
teachers...
just saw nude children, well, not children, but nude underage characters in the preview. And the main character has a uniform fetish.
Okay, but not. I have to get too technical to defend that for it to be actually mean anything.
I know, yeah. The show even has a hard time defending it.
Yeah. It's not awful. It's just this has been done way better in other places before.
Yeah, I highly recommend checking out Iruma-kun, Rosario X Vampire, even High School DxD.
Yeah, a little bit. Or if you are curious, once again, Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School is a very fun show that still kind of holds up. Weirdly enough, it still gets referenced a lot too.
Rare dip into the Western animation.
No, like no joke. Like if you're familiar with the Cartoon Network show OKKO, one of the main leads off of that is supposed to be one of the girls from the Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School.
Interesting. I can't say I've watched any of it, but
yeah, no, it's a weird part of Warner Brothers animation lore, I guess.
Well, that's interesting because Scooby-Doo is Hanna-Barbera, although they're all kind of under the same umbrella now.
Well, what was it? Warner Brothers closed their animation side down and moved it into Hanna-Barbera, or vice versa?
Probably vice versa, because I'm pretty sure the Warner Brothers animation studio is still up and running with all the DC stuff.
No, DC Animation's its own separate entity.
Interesting.
Like I said, it's very weird. It's very, very weird. But that being said, yeah, one episode to give you how big and how much effort they're putting into this one. The thumbnail we have here is taken from Crunchyroll, and even they didn't give it a widescreen version.
All right, next up we have Trillion Game.
Ooh, unfortunately, this is one I wanted to watch.
All right, so you didn't actually manage to check out any of this one then, I'm assuming, correct?
Because this happens to be the only one on this list that Crunchyroll gave a mature rating to.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I mean, I've only managed to catch about 2 episodes of this one myself, but I haven't seen anything that would flag it as mature content, to be honest, especially compared to the other series we've seen this season. You know, okay, this one's definitely interesting. But like, from my perspective, like my bias for this is that the character designs are definitely not up my alley. This is like the style of characterization that definitely puts me off.
Oh, this is that ugly. I don't quite want to say kaiji, but it's in that same type of animation style, that kind of over detailed adult looking bit.
Yeah, and like it kind of like exaggerates the character's imperfections,
Yep.
I suppose you could say. So there's this sort of like inherent ugliness to it that just puts me off visually. Nonetheless, it seems to be a very serviceable plot line. Don't expect like crazy amazing visuals or anything out of this. It's not like a shonen battle anime or anything like that. But it's serviceable.
Yeah,
I think you probably know what you're getting into pretty well by episode 1. And it does have a little bit more like dark, mature vibes that you would kind of expect that go typically hand in hand with this animation style.
Yeah, it's one I was looking at because this one is up my alley. Like I said, it's just I kind of got hit with an odd a block on that one at the start, so I will be catching up on that at the end of the season, hopefully. All right.
Next up, we have Haigakura. I did not catch this one at all.
いいかこの舞と歌を合わせて全部頭に叩き込めこれを覚えりゃどんな神だって自分のもんにできる一応
かつてその世界では人柱として4匹の狂神司教が封じられていた。だが
司教は日本にいる。
なんだてめえ史上最も出来損ないの歌手一葉じゃねえか
調子に乗るなよ。
なんでこいつらはこうなんだろうな。
やばい術が溶けかけてる。
お前が歌を。
普通でないところといえばあいつがありえないほどの音痴だというところか歌手になれそうしてお前の育ての親白豪お前の力で解放してやれ
俺にどうしろっつんだ。人間とかそうじゃねえと知るかい。
俺か俺は天候です我が弟子一葉がご迷惑をおかけしました遊びに来たんじゃないんだぞ遊びに来たんじゃないんだあんなすごい歌声聞いたことない
何年ぶりになるかな
変わってなくて安心したぜ
この子に手出しは許しません
そんなものはそんなに大層なものだったろうか。ただ共にあれとそれだけなのに。
今すぐもう一度日本へ行かせろ
酒でもどうだお前の弟子の秘密でもつまみにしてな
ふざけんなよ
さて始めますか
What?
行いの歌詞で家族思いに不器用なクソガキなんだ
もう後戻りはできねえ。
俺が一人でやる。
この世界が沈むが先か彼が司教を連れ戻すが先か
歌え一葉一葉
Did you manage to catch any of this one, Agent?
Yep, I caught the first 2 episodes of this one. So this is a modern fantasy show, I would put down for that.
Yeah, I don't know. If like the preview at least felt really weird. Like there were parts where it was clearly like a contemporary setting, and then other parts where it felt more like high fantasy almost.
Okay, so the interesting, this feels more like a 90s or early 2000s pseudo fantasy adventure story. So the whole the world's divided into like a spirit kind of world and a real world, and we're following kind of a I guess tamer of gods.
Gods is probably a rough translation of kami.
Yeah, it's unfortunately this is a Prime show, so Every time they said kami, they say god.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
For those who don't know, kami are kind of like divine spirits, and some of them can be very godlike, but they're not necessarily gods.
Not omnipotent gods.
Yeah. They're sometimes not even like lesser deities. They're just like benevolent spirits.
Yep. And the main premise around this is one guy who is supposedly the worst at this, but secretly really good. And sorry, I had to sneeze there.
No need to apologize. I'm having to cough pretty frequently.
The biggest thing is it's him kind of going out on missions, bringing spirits or gods or kami kind of under his control. You kind of see that with the beads they all wear. They're bound into those. But the biggest thing is, was it the 4 like dark spirits that once held up the world have escaped, and the biggest thing is they need to capture those so the pillars that support the world can be rebound into those. Meanwhile, his adoptive father is kind of using his own power to support them, which was the big cat boss.
I see. So it's very much Pokemon with divine spirits.
I would say it falls, if you're familiar with the older shows, closer to Monster Rancher's storyline.
Fair enough.
But very much on those old school adventures. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like the Pokemon reference popped straight into my mind watching episode 1 and them building this world. But it is not so much directly that, but closer to like that modern day fantasy adventure story. That being said, you know what you're getting right off the bat here. While this does come off as a recommend, you have to have Prime for it, and if you're not familiar with older shows, it might be an interesting job because it will be a new feel for you. If you are, I have not felt a show like this in quite a bit, so it is interesting to see it come back again. I would normally expect to see this pop up on Netflix as a weird original, but
All right, next up we have Mirai in Love.
僕には絶対に揺るがない意志があります。田中先生を好きでいることです。
この物語のヒロインを舐めてもらっては困る。そう簡単に男にマウントを取られてたまるかい。
お前、田中とできてんの？
あなたの気持ちは嬉しいけれど、今はそれに応えられない。
諦める才能がなくてすいません。
先生、いい加減にしろ。
お前らのことが学内で広まればどうなる？
私はなんとなくあなたのことが気になって。10年くらい前からずっと好き。先生、戦国こういうの好きなんですか？村井さん応援キャンペーン。ひととせくんのブロマイドたくさん持ってきたんですけど。
こいつ好きな人いるから邪魔したくないんだよね。お願いします。村井に時間をください。
心の友よ、
本気で好きなんです。
村井くんはどうして私のことが好きなんですか？
村井の恋。
Okay, that was so cheaply animated, I'm left wondering, was this a web series?
Yeah, it's like, well, that said JC staff, and I was kind of like, aren't they known for being like a good studio?
I can't remember. I mean, I've definitely seen them do other stuff. It's certainly not their first rodeo.
But yeah, that felt like a cheaply made 90s anime, honestly.
Yeah, well, I mean, even the visual style was reminiscent of like I oh, but early '90s stuff, late '80s stuff, like
Yeah, it's very much in that vein. That's why I was kind of like, it's like I saw that, like when I saw JC stats, like that's a major studio. What did they get drunk and decide to make something like this one day?
yeah, like it was cousin Phil hired into the mailroom and they let him make an anime. I don't know.
Okay, this was another one that we both kind of double checked on our lists, and it had kind of slipped through both of our cracks, I assume, because I have not been able to watch an episode of this. Were you?
No, I don't even know where this is.
Do you still have the chart up?
Yeah, I've got that up. Let's see.
Uh,
No, it's not
oh, this is the
there.
Hulu show. This is Hulu.
Oh, okay. Wow, this is not worth logging into Hulu over.
Yeah, this is the only show on for Hulu this season, I believe, too.
Possibly.
Let me check the list really quick. Yeah, this is the only Hulu show.
I know there was at least one other that I was like suspecting might be on Hulu.
And well, everything except for the stuff we're deciding to skip.
Yeah. From the looks of this, I can't recommend it.
I don't want to log into Hulu for this one.
Yeah, despite not having watched it, my impression is it's probably a skip.
Oh, it feels really unfair of me, but oh dear God, show! It's like you had an uphill battle and you decided to shoot yourself in the foot at the start. Watch it; it's some amazing story or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. We might not find out at this rate. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a shot, but that looks visually painful to me. They couldn't even
Yeah.
keep the characters consistent. All right. Next up we have Puniru is a kawaii slime. My name is Puniru. I'm a very kawaii slime. And he's my friend forever.
Forever. You know, I think the show of the old movie Ted, I think a spin-off show of the movie Ted came out a little while back. This feels like the anime version of that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this show. From the title, I expected this might be something that I would enjoy, and then I started watching it.
Yeah, this
End
is
of sentence.
yeah, this is a younger child show.
It's not even really though. It's more like a parody of that. Like, okay.
Yeah, no,
quick
it's like
synopsis.
I would agree with you on that, and it's just
Main character accidentally creates intelligent life, eventually gets bored of its antics, and that's where the show really starts.
You know, what if your
Also,
imaginary friend
episode
was?
2 gets weird.
Oh, was that the? Was that the where the weird fetish stuff started?
Oh yeah, it sure was.
Yeah, this feels like a parody of, if you're familiar with Dokemon or other young children-friendly shows from Japan. of them kind of making fun of that. It's like, oh, hey, what if your little imaginary friend as a kid you made as like a young kid was real and stuck around, only they only go up to they can't be older than like last year elementary. Maybe no, they say middle school, don't they? They did say middle school.
Yeah, middle school, which is why he's like kind of growing out of like really enjoying having this not so imaginary friend around all the time.
Yeah, it definitely gave off that feel of I'm growing up. I don't need little kid things anymore. Insert we love Pokemon. High school, Pokemon's for kids. College, we love Pokemons meme here.
Yeah. Okay. One thing I want to point out about this series is it feels like there's so much interesting stuff that they could be exploring that they just gloss right over and over and over again in the name of keeping this a more like light comedy oriented show. But like this could actually have been like a really touching story that like explores this space of like the falling out between this person and the sentient creature that they created, and like the pain and trauma that they experience of being like abandoned by their creator, and instead they go completely the other direction with it.
Yeah, it's a very interesting show. I feel like in Japan it might hit a little bit better outside in American audiences who probably don't have the cultural touchstones to help them hit on this. You're not going to be enjoying a lot of this probably, unless you just want some kind of mushy brain rot comedy.
I really can't find any level that I can recommend this one on, unless you're just like morbidly curious about how weird episode 2 gets. Other than that, like I'm this is another one I would be tempted to put in the skip category. I don't know if I'll be able to continue watching this show. It is definitely losing me.
I will say it's probably going to fall off really hard. I don't know if I can throw it in the skip from just right off the bat, because it could do some interesting things, but they love
like the only thing that might keep me watching it is morbid curiosity.
Yep. This show also has a love for its canned animation too. I will definitely give it that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Which itself feels like a parody of like the magical girl transformation scenes and like the Digimon digivolving scenes and things like that.
Yep. Okay, we are at our home stretch. What do we have next?
Next up, we have Kinoko Inu, Mushroom Pup.
All right.
庭の雪柳の下にピンクのキノコが生えていた。え？なんだこれ？妖怪？妖精？
A demon? A fairy?
キノコ犬、なんで犬になったの？なんだこれ？え、ごめんキノコ犬。
なんで生えたの？庭に変な薬でも撒いた？
はじめまして、ヤラと申します。
研究所の職員さんなんだって。あの子にまた会いたいんです。
アンズー。
キノコ犬ってさ、どこから来たんだろうな。
本当に仲いいわね、こいつら。
キノコ犬って何なんだ？
キノコ犬と一緒にいるといろんなことがどうでもよくなるわ。
今日はいつにも増して行動が変だけど楽しそうだからいっか。キノコ 子犬、いつもありがとうな。
Okay, off the bat, please do not allow this show's cute, sparkly exterior fool you. This show, especially in episode 1, is a massive bummer. You are out the gate going to be greeted with themes of like loss of family and loved ones, pet loss, depression, and that's going to consume the majority of episode 1.
I think episode 2 is where it starts getting more into its what it's going to be. It's probably standard flow, but yeah, there is a definite dark episode in. This is a healing anime, but it's builds itself up. That being said,
It's a healing anime that starts off giving you a huge heaping dose of depression, which is not typical of healing anime.
Yep, I won't argue that. The other thing, I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of hate that little thing of, oh, your dog died, or your cat's like, oh, well, just go get another one and help replace it. It's like that'll heal the hole.
That always bothers me.
I don't like that. I just don't like that concept like that.
It always feels like that sort of sentiment comes from people who don't truly understand the bond and how special that connection is between a person and their pet. And how they truly can become family to you. And while it may be true that in the grand scheme of things, having a new pet around can help fill that void and help heal those scars, I feel that for someone to come to you and give that upfront as a recommendation when you are not yet emotionally ready for it is just insensitive.
Yeah. That being said, this doesn't kind of hit on that. The titular mushroom pup is kind of just a mushroom dog that pops up in his backyard. So, yeah,
and honestly, is kind of a dick.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of weird things here. I don't necessarily think it's bad. I think this counts as another episode too, just to get a
It's very
feel for it.
slow paced.
If this was closer to like a lot of healing shows do for like 15, like 10-minute episodes, I feel like that would be better, but it's trying to tell a bigger story, and that's kind of odd.
Yeah. I honestly feel like it might still be going somewhere with it, but I don't know where. And I'm not sure I'm interested enough to find out at the pace that it's moving.
Yeah, that one might be a wait and see. It might also fall into our. I feel like this season might have a few more dropped than previous. But for as interesting as everything is, but
Definitely possible. Also, partly just because there are still enough series that it's pretty difficult between the two of us to keep up with all of them.
although there are a lot this season, I do want to do that with. That being said, I believe we are on our last of our actually listed anime. After this,
I believe you are correct.
The rest of the trailers we have will be for shows that we could not figure out how to watch legally in our respective areas.
Yep. All right. Capping things off is the Netflix reboot of Ranma 1/2. So you could call this Ranma 1/2 2024.
待たせたな。へいよ、俺無差別格闘早乙女流2代目早乙女ランマ。はっは
天道道場の茜は親同士が決めた言い名付け。
勝手に決めないでよ。男なんて大嫌いよ。
おめえ青いパンツ似合わねえ。
いっぺん死んでこい。そしてランマにはある悩みがあって、水をかぶると女に変身しちまうんだ。俺は男だ。
我が息子なら何度見ても君をキテレツ摩訶不思議。
そっちこそ君をキテレツだろ。
早乙女君待ちかねた。
朝ごはんですよ。裸でうろうろされちゃ迷惑なのよ。
何を変態。何すんだよ茜。頑張るバカ。
本当おめえは可愛くねえな。
ランマ
ランマ
ランマくん。
ランマ君ランマ
ランマちゃん。ランマ君。ランマ2分の1。
Okay, Yuki, have you gone through the original Ranma series ever?
I can't say that I completed it, but I definitely watched at least the first like 80 episodes or so.
Yeah, I forget how long that show was.
It was like 180 episodes or something like that in its original run.
But yeah, this is a full-on reboot of the original, not with its only updates being its animation and designs.
Well, the designs themselves haven't really changed too much, aside from the fact that they made the interesting choice to give Ranma the anatomically incorrect Barbie doll treatment. So they've kept the nudity, but they've removed the nipples.
Yeah, that's Netflix has done that a couple of times. I'm not really sure why.
They're really inconsistent with it. I don't really understand either. Now, granted, these are characters who are underage. They're like 16-ish.
Yeah.
So that may have played into it, but we've definitely seen other series with characters in that age bracket that they've gone ahead with it on, so...
Yeah.
Question mark?
Yeah. One thing I will say, because I think it does utter that, you might have heard of, if people aren't familiar with it, they've only ever heard of ROM 1.5. This used to be the go-to... I wouldn't say go-to. This is probably the origin point for the standard, what would evolve into the standard harem anime archetype.
Oh yeah, it had huge influence in that regard.
And still
especially
does to
when
this
it came
day,
to like
probably.
shonen harem.
Oh yeah. That being said, because it is the show that kind of started those genres, it really has evolved. It's updated a lot over the years. Nuance has been taken point to it. None of that's here. Oh my dear God, this is as sexist.
Yeah, and also
It's
very kind of its time treatment of Ranma as a like trans / NB character. Like they were kind of thrust into that role, but like there's all this. I don't know.
It's purely a gag. You're not
Yeah.
meant to look into it any further than it's a joke, because haha, tough guy gets splashed with cold water, turns into girl.
At the same time, at least in the original series, Ranma eventually became much more comfortable with like being female presenting and ended up probably spending the majority of the airtime as female Ranma. But it's hard to say if that was really meant to have anything to say about the character or if it was just for fan service.
Fan service on that, and I went through the manga more than I did the anime. It's not he is much more he's presented much more as a guy in the source material than he was in the show itself. The show itself really liked to bank on that fan service side of it.
There are also a lot of the side characters that will only interact with Ranma when Ranma is in one state or the other, and that may have played into it a lot as well.
Oh yeah, let's not forget the because Ranma doesn't have a standard harem show. It has a spider web of a harem. So probably the biggest love rival interest. There is a character that I don't believe can physically recognize that Ranma transforms between man to woman and sees his two personalities as separate.
Oh yeah,
Hates his
and
male
will
side.
blatantly hit on one and hates the other.
Yeah, to the point where it transforms in front of him and goes, "Well, where'd the other one go?" If I remember correctly.
Oh yeah.
It's
now that said, again, the show has like complicated treatment of its subject matter. I want to touch on Shampoo for a moment, who, from the as far as I've watched, hasn't been introduced yet in the Netflix series. But I'm very interested to see what happens when they do introduce her and if they change anything, because Shampoo rides this weird line between being a Chinese stereotype or not.
What do you mean? You keep going.
Yeah, and B, has a more nuanced approach to Ranma's situation, wherein Shampoo will clearly state that she very much prefers what she calls boy type Ranma, but really doesn't mind girl type Ranma. Like, she's cool with the situation and understands it, but her attraction lies with the male presentation. So I don't know, like the show at times is accidentally very forward thinking with some of this stuff.
I will say that's completely accidental in its entirety.
But I will note as well, again, this show is very of its time, and we're getting a reboot of it, but it's relatively true and faithful to the original. So it's important to keep that in mind when assessing it, because to my knowledge and understanding, at least, like in my anecdotal experience, Ranma was, although not great representation by today's standards, definitely a show that helped a lot of trans folks kind of understand and normalize their own feelings, or contextualize them, maybe, in a way that they didn't necessarily have to feel bad about. And from that perspective, like, again, in its time period, there wasn't a whole lot better available. I know I've gone on this tangent before, but like early 90s and 80s, like, yeah, anime was treating all this stuff as the butt of a joke, but you didn't even see it mentioned anywhere else. And that had a huge cultural impact and made it kind of accidentally, again, forward thinking and representational, even if that representation is not the best.
Yeah, that's why, like I said, there's a lot of history to unpack with Ranma. It's most of it, like in hindsight, positive, bringing it up to today's standards, which kind of is the problem since this isn't marked as a reboot. This is marked at, or okay, not I should say marketed as a reboot, but marketed as a kind of new show.
The way Netflix does, yeah.
Yeah, which okay, they've had a really good hit on a lot of what they've been doing with this so far. Devilman, Ultimate, or the Kinnikuman saga, both phenomenal series. It's
just so important to keep in mind the lens what you need to examine it through.
Yeah, and that's like once again, it's like while I do like it, that's also part of its problem. There is so many old concepts through here, not just bad, but just outdated tropes at this point.
But at the same time, it established so many of those tropes.
Yeah, it's like I said, that's kind of the argument, but at the same point, it's a reboot in modern days. You kind of got to look at it from that aspect.
It's really tough because with things like this, like I want to be able to preserve history and have it brought to a new generation, and I feel like this kind of thing aids with that, but at the same time it corrupts it in the process, and I can't settle on one solid feeling about that.
Yep. At one point, for a 1980s show, I believe that
It was indeed 80s, yeah.
80s show, it's incredibly well for its time, immaculate for what it did. Bringing that same story into today's setting, hits a lot differently. So that is
much more questionable.
Oh,
1-2 episodes,
at least 2. I'm almost debating 3 because of getting into its format is a big thing too, which yeah, this is a harem battle show. If you were curious about that, is Ranma is going to fight anybody in anything for any reason, and him transforming between man and woman will play a part in some of those stories.
Yeah, I feel like they've pretty well established that by episode 2, so I think that's a comfortable place for it.
Yeah.
Episode 1 was a lot more preoccupied with just the character introductions and like setting up the basic story.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Do we want to watch the last couple of previews before we call it an evening?
I was thinking how we can't figure out how to actually watch those. I think I'm good with calling it here.
Fair enough. It is already midnight my time, and I do have work tomorrow.
Yep. Same about on me. All right. Who do we have on? We can send everybody over to Oots. I feel like he's been
streaming right now.
Yep. Or at least he was on mine.
I don't have him on my list, but mine could be out of date.
Yeah, let me refresh. Nope. It looks like he has gone down. Do you have somebody up on your to watch?
Let's see.
Because if you don't, we can just in stream without rating out.
I've got Cat Balking Neko, who I've rated back and forth with a few times. But yeah, nobody that's like necessary.
Well, if you would like to rate out to them, we definitely can.
Sure, why not? All right. Looks like they're playing some Overwatch 2 tonight. Do you want me to paste that name over for you?
Yes, please send me a link. Although I know last time we were doing the stream together, there was something a little weird that happened on that one, so... Let's see if I can rate out, or if you rating out rates us both out.
Interesting question. Anyway, while we're waiting for that to activate, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this kind of early season preview discussion, and hope to see you all again next time.
Yep, we should have the list posted up on our social media links, so please give it a chance out to review that if you would like a copy of it yourself. All right, everybody.
And do join us again for the end of season review when that happens in quite a few weeks from now.
Yep, but I will be back Tuesday with Resident Evil 0. Yuki, when will your next stream be?
With any luck, tomorrow, but could be Tuesday. We'll see.
All right, everybody. Later.
Good night, everybody. Matinin.